Turn the recorder on.
No,
Are
I
you
don't.
recording it?
No, we don't record special meetings.
Okay.
We got one item. That's all we're gonna talk about. All right, we'll call this meeting to order. 12:01. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, I didn't take it off here. Well, we don't have any previous minutes. I didn't take it off here. Public input. Anybody for public input? Oh,
Do roll call.
Yeah, do roll call.
Okay, Campbell,
Here.
Davidson,
Here.
Deshano. Here. Class. Here. Cruz here.
Okay. No
The
public.
microphone's on.
No,
We're not recording it?
no. We never record a special meeting. We only got one item on here.
I think all meetings are supposed to be recorded.
So,
We passed a motion to record all meetings and to retain all recordings.
we're fine. We're not gonna record this one.
Well, it's not about regret, it's about record. And we passed a motion to record every meeting and to retain those recordings. So whether it's a 5-minute meeting or a 3-hour meeting, we should be recording the meetings.
To appease you, I will do it.
Oh, thank you.
Well, maybe I won't appease you. I didn't put batteries in anything. We're fine.
Mine works.
Yeah, I don't know. This one,
Oh, it's blinking. If it's blinking, does that mean?
yeah, it means that, I'll record it on my phone.
Will that be uploaded with the other ones then that are retained?
Yeah, I can transfer it to the tape player. And then I can move it on the other one. Let me see here. All right. June 27th. So the only thing we have on the agenda for this special meeting is, obviously, we all know that Mr. Burke retired on the 15th, and because he's an employee, and he'd like to be reinstated for a short period of time. And I spoke to the attorney and MTA, and because he's an employee, we have to hire him back. And I've spoken to him, and he's interested in coming back for a short period of time to help us with a chief, a new chief.
Yeah.
So,
Do they talk on that issue? Yeah.
yeah.
So, my thought is, and I think you might agree with me, you did retire, but I would like you to be our interim chief on a part-time basis, so you can still enjoy retirement and not have to be here 40 hours a week and you know what I'm saying? Is this, what I'm suggesting to you, is that what you're thinking?
Interim, acting,
Yeah.
chief, whatever, okay?
Okay.
And that isn't so much a question as just the purpose of keeping things straight and keeping things on an even keel, okay? Until such time as this board decides on who is going to be the successor chief, okay?
So you said until such time.
Right.
What type of time frame are you considering for this?
Oh, years.
In all seriousness.
In all seriousness, it's basically whatever it takes. Okay, I'm not looking at a long-term deal. Okay,
Okay.
this isn't my idea of I
Retirement.
don't want to say retirement. Okay, but things have happened in the last couple of weeks, and it's I feel partly responsible for it, and I want to keep this thing on an even scale as to who's being considered, who isn't, and stuff like that. Okay, having some input on that regard. Okay.
With that in mind,
Now wait, so when I talked to the attorney, our attorney and MTA, they're saying this motion to rehire him doesn't have to have an ending date.
correct?
The minute he turns in another date that he's retiring, that's another date that he's
Correct.
retiring. And the other thing is I spoke to him that we would probably pay him by the hour if he just keep track of his hours that he's here and working, we would pay him by the hour. So he's not going back on, let's say, salary,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, so your intent then is to what? Train people to be able to take the position, or?
We have transitional issues, say on the computers and stuff like that, where we have duplicate information and stuff like this, and things that need to be turned over to them.
Mm-hmm.
One of my big things is to create the, I guess I could do that anytime, but is create the list of ex-firefighters or past firefighters that are capable of going on the wall in Roscommon and what goes on the wall here. Everything goes on the wall here, but it's getting the ones on the wall at Roscommon. That I had promised to do, and just having access to the personnel files to do that. And but there's a lot of different little things of whoever's taking over, they have to have access to. Okay, and that goes all the way up to a state and federal level, and that just has to be done, you know. And part of that I was going to do anyways, you know, just sitting here and laughing while they're running out the door or whatever. But you know, that's, you know, I want to keep things on an even keel. I don't want anybody taking advantage or anything else on your selection process. Whether that's inside or outside or whatever.
Okay, so about 2.5 years ago, I started talking with you about succession planning for this very time.
The succession plan in the one SOP issue is not a major thing, okay? Even though it was spoken about OSHA coming in and stuff, then OSHA would request from you, and that information still comes, the operation of the fire department would not be affected by that, okay? That can be corrected in a matter of days,
Okay,
okay?
Yeah.
so what you're
Or hours
saying,
if I type fast, you know.
So-
Basically, it was an oversight on when those were originally drawn up,
okay,
okay? Because that should have been all the way down. And looking at it as like, okay, so, I'll take one for it, you know. I'm not even sure I wrote that, but regardless of that, I did approve and stuff like that, okay? And basically, that is an oversight,
okay.
okay?
Because I asked you that at the last meeting, when
Right,
you announced your
right.
retirement, if we had to appoint an acting chief, right? Yeah.
Necessary in some ways, not really. All the operations of the fire department would have continued.
Right,
Okay.
but actually in the policy, it
In
says
the
it has to
actual
be
policy,
done.
the SOG that we have, it is written for chief and assistant chief, and it's like, damn.
Yeah. So what would be your intent with the assistant chief if you were reinstated today?
I would appoint somebody, if need be, you know.
Well, I'm
And
curious if
I'm
that's the
looking-
intent.
I'm looking at that from the aspect of my general age, health, history,
Mm-hmm.
yada, yada, yada. I tip over, let's not have the issue again. You
Well-
know, and we can correct that, but the SOG is what needs to be corrected, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That SOG needs some additions to that, okay? So that that hierarchy is put in writing the way it is, okay?
So if you were to start working on that would then come forward to the board for review, correct?
if you wanted to review it, that would be fine, because it is part of the township organization, okay? But as far as the SOG is concerned, it basically only concerns the fire department, okay? You have a copy of that entire catalog.
I don't.
Okay, well, the township does, okay?
Okay.
We turn over one to the township. And any changes thereof, we keep the old, we put the new in, and you have to record that forever, and then
Okay.
stuff, you know.
So you don't believe that the board has to have approval of those changes?
Not necessarily, no. I don't believe so. What we're looking at is not only, and that's something that come up before I retired, I'm going through the SOGs page by page,
Okay.
and that hadn't been done yet. And every SOG that we have,
Okay.
SOG or SOP, whatever you want to call them. okay?
Well, because obviously when this came up this time,
Mhm.
had the board had that in its entirety, the entirety of the board to review,
Mhm.
then we would have seen
Mhm.
that this was a requirement to actually
Well-
have an interim or an acting chief. And we could have avoided this whole problem and pulling you back out of your
You're not looking
retirement.
at so much the interim chief as in the, or acting chief and stuff like that in the SOGs. It is the command structure, and that would follow the structure that we have anyways, okay? And which would go from chief, assistant chief, captain, lieutenant. But they stopped apparently at the assistant chief, and that should not have been done. That should have followed through at least down to, through the lieutenants, okay? And
Okay.
that resolves that issue.
So if you were to be rehired today and decided that you were going to appoint an assistant chief tomorrow, and then something were to happen and you retired the next day, then that would solve the problem, right?
Only one of it.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Because you're looking at different issues that I want each and every one of them to understand, such as your disciplinary policy. The disciplinary policy was voided, okay? And basically does not exist, okay? And because it was set up on a union-type basis, we are not union.
right.
And that's why that was voided, good, 6, 7 years ago, okay? And it was put down as the chief or the assistant chief at their discretion. However, what has to be understood, anything that is done now or during that time frame, that is precedence,
Okay.
okay? And the only thing that came up as precedence was on the run requirements and stuff like that. We haven't had to use that, okay? But that has to be fair, it has to be equal, okay? And whatever you're doing now, there's your law.
Okay, so obviously, there is an issue here of board oversight.
Well,
There's an issue here of board oversight, because this whole thing could have been prevented, putting us in this position, had there
Yes,
been a mutual understanding, because obviously, your plan to retire was communicated to people in this office,
Right.
right? Your letter to retire was communicated to people in this office. And did anybody apply to be appointed chief after you
we
decided
have
to
two
retire?
interested candidates.
Okay, and that was not shared with the board either. So,
We have not sat down as far as the entire board, which we need to do,
agreed,
okay? And that did not happen,
yeah.
okay?
So, I
And
mean,
that
that
should
should
be,
have been pushed forward.
as far as
to
I'm
board members.
concerned, it is, in my personal opinion, because it deals with personnel issues, should be a closed-door session,
I agree with you.
okay?
But it also should have been something that was communicated earlier on, and we certainly don't want to get into this situation, and I'm not faulting you for that. That should have been communicated earlier on, that that's what was actually going on, so that the board could make a decision about how this was going to be handled, so that the board could have reviewed the policies that are in place, the entire board, and so that the board